Hi everyone, my name is Szymkowiak and I'm the talent advisor at Signavio. I would like to start by just throwing it out there because I think sometimes diversity and inclusion can actually exclude some people. So generally speaking, I would like you to raise your hand if you've ever felt like you've been excluded. So maybe thinking of like sports, or maybe having to swipe right a couple of times on Tinder or Grindr. I would like to keep your hands up if you feel like you've ever been overlooked for a promotion. So there's quite a few hands in there, up in the air, and I think with that information, it's something that we can all identify with. And so what I'm looking to do in the 5 minutes that I have is just discuss awareness and some of the actions that we can take to make our workplaces more inclusive. And there's some caveats. The company that I work for, Signavio, we're on a journey like a lot of tech companies, so we're not there yet. And also I've got 5 minutes, so I can't necessarily cover everything within this wide topic. So I want to start with the majority of the population and look at some of the barriers that women say that they face, and they tell me, and when I'm listening to them, what they tell me that they face within employment, and also some of the solutions that they have. And I think that one of the big things regarding role models is just looking at how it is that we can support some of the networking opportunities that we have within organizations. Just getting behind a women's group, for example, is something that might be quite simple, but is very, very effective. Also, the code of conduct. You want to look at the behaviors that you want to eliminate from an organization, and then look at the behaviors that you want to promote. Within the tech industry, something that I find quite interesting to hear about is how we celebrate flat hierarchies. However, as a diversity and inclusion enthusiast, it's actually something that hides power. So structures within an organization opens up and makes people accountable. And when we're looking to promote people, it also gives them an opportunity to develop. Something else that I would like to talk about as a gay man is looking at the barriers that we face within employment. You can see the image at the bottom of the screen that highlights that gay people actually face barriers when it comes to promotion. But I think that it's very important just to address that not all of us within this umbrella of LGBTI+ face the same barriers. And I've put up on the screen in particular, looking at those from our trans community, those are non-binary and intersex individuals. Some of the other things that we can do, in Berlin we have CSD, just something as simple as promoting that within an organization. Signavio, the company I work for, is 10 years old, and it was our first Pride event that we attended earlier this year. Another example, an area that I would like to focus on is those that come from our Black, Asian, and minority ethnic communities. It's really important, and there's a story that I would like to share with you with a colleague of mine, Christian Hamilton. He applied for a job at Signavio. He's from London. His CV was pretty blank. It looked like a typical engineer's CV, and there wasn't a photograph. Where I'm from in Scotland, you don't necessarily have photographs on your CV. But in Berlin, part of my job is recruitment, and it's something that's really commonplace. So I didn't know whether or not he was going to get a job with us at the time. So I always feel that it's appropriate to give people advice, and I suggested to him that he puts a photo on his CV. I had not met him in person. Once he joined the company, he pulled me aside and said, "Oh, Jamie, do you remember that advice that you gave me? The reason I don't put my picture on is I'm a black man, and I feel that people are not going to interview me just based on the color of my skin." So I think it's something quite important to notice. You might also see the 5% symbol that's at the bottom of the screen. I think it's something that I've stat within Germany that I found quite interesting. German Turks make up 5.2% of the population, yet within the top 100 organizations in Germany, there's not one German Turk who's a CEO. So in terms of identifying the people at the top level who you can identify with, is quite an important thing to just notice. Disabled people, something that's quite close to my heart, is a case that if you don't address the physical barriers, then you're not going to get people applying for the jobs. So something that you can do is really simple, is just making sure that you have an accessible website. So when you're going back to the workplace, make sure that your website is accessible to screen readers. It's a really easy thing to ask. Lastly, social background. I've got an example here of Duolingo, who've been very successful at diversifying the number of women and also the people from working class backgrounds, because what they actually did is they actually approached the universities and asked them to look at the contextual indicators that they have to accept more women and people from disadvantaged social backgrounds into their universities. I know I've sort of gone over my time, and there's lots of things that I could cover. Intersectionality, I haven't even mentioned. Data collection, funding. Another small thing that your HR and recruiters could do is just put MFD. Within Germany, you have to put M or F for male and female. Just adding the D champions diversity in your workplace. And it's really important to call it out. If you see racism, homophobia or sexism, we need you as allies. So it's important to call it out. So with that, I would like to say thank you very much for listening. Reach out if you've got any questions. Thank you.